sun filtered through the dense canopy of the Great Smoky Mountains, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Within this verdant sanctuary, nature's symphony played a stark contrast to the sinister tales surrounding the wilderness. The team, comprised of seasoned investigator Mara, tech-savvy Jay, and folklore enthusiast L, set up their base near the spot where Dennis Martin last disappeared. Anxiety simmered below their curious excitement, knowing they were about to tread into the heart of an unexplained mystery that had haunted this community for decades. Mara unzipped the equipment bags, distributing audio recorders, cameras, and notebooks, while Jay arranged a makeshift tech hub to monitor their wireless feeds. Elle pored over old maps and newspaper clippings, her eyes alighting on the chilling headline: "Boy vanishes in Smokies. Search party finds no trace." A picture of Dennis, smiling and carefree, threatened to blend into the myths that ensnared his narrative, another victim of the untamed wild. The team's mission was clear: separate fact from folklore. Yet, as whispers of a bear-like man sightings echoed in their research, the line between reality and legend grew thin. Armed with modern technology and steeled by determination, they ventured forth into the forest's welcoming grandeur, unaware of the unsettling presence that watched them from the shadows, eager to weave them into its living tapestry of fear. The forest seemed almost alive as they trudged deeper, each step met with an unsettling rustle or a stray shadow darting out of sight. Mara, armed with an audio recorder and keen intuition, led the group. Her mind was sharp, eager to listen beyond the hushed whispers of leaves and branches, swaying in the gentle wind, fingers tracing the invisible marrow of folklore. Jay lagged, adjusting his equipment, attempting to capture both the natural ambient noise and anything else that might creep into their senses. An odd pressure settled over him, a feeling as though they were intruding on something ancient, something watchful. He tried to shake it off, attributing his unease to the oppressive humidity and the looming trees. Elle shivered despite the warm air, her heart a drum in her chest. She clung to her notebook as if it were a talisman against the memories these woods held, legends that spoke of forest spirits and of a bear-like man that was neither beast nor man. With each step, the sieved sunlight dimmed, pulled into obscurity by an unsettling heaviness that seemed to deepen the further they walked. As they progressed, a small clearing opened up, offering a brief respite from the oppressive blanket of the woods. In the center lay an ancient, almost ritualistic stone, wrapped in twisted roots and bathed in the last rays of dusky sunlight. The scene stood out starkly against the tales Elle had recounted, a narrative teeming with stories of sacred forest ground where trespassers might unwittingly summon the forest's wrath. Mara knelt near the stone, her fingers tracing the mossy surface, eyes drifting over the engraved runes, indecipherable scribbles reminiscent of some forgotten language. It's as if the earth itself speaks to us through these marks, she mused, voice barely above a whisper. She glanced at her audio recorder, hoping it had captured any resonating wisdom the stone might impart. Jay set up his camera to capture an image, his every move deliberate, sweeping slowly from the stone to the dense forest horizon, lingering on the point where shadow and sunlight waged a silent war. As the camera clicked, Elle's skin prickled, a cold shiver coursing through her as the forest seemed to inhale around them, filling their senses with an inexplicable presence, alive and aware. The night descended quickly, swallowing the forest in a thick veil of shadows. The team set up camp near the ancient stone, illumination provided by the wan glow of lantern light, preventing the darkness from fully enclosing them. The air was alive with the nocturnal symphony of crickets and distant owl calls, their stark cries echoing a haunting lullaby. Elle steeped herself in tales of yore, her pen dancing across the pages of her notebook as she wove a narrative of folklore intertwined with their palpable present. These woods, she murmured to the others gathered around the flicker of their campfire, they speak of a creature, half beast, half man. A guardian of secrets, maybe, but all fear the bear-like man who ventures out only when the night swallow day whole. Jay shivered internally, getting glimpses of their surroundings through his tech setup, a screen showing static overlays interrupted by flickering shadows that seemed to dance at the forest's edge. The bear-like silhouette glimpsed briefly was just a trick of the night, he reassured himself, a product of the mind's inclination toward fear when caught in the confines of isolation. Soon after midnight, the forest's chatter receded as though bowing to a greater dominion, and an unnaturally quiet void bled into the camp like ink on parchment. Mara stood abruptly, startled by the oppressive stillness, usually teeming with nocturnal life. Her eyes scanned the tree line where darkness converged like a living tapestry draped across the woods. Without hesitation, Mara moved to the cameras, scanning through the feeds for something she couldn't name, a feeling more than a sight or sound. Just then, a noise pierced the night, a distant rustling interspersed with indistinct whispers that felt neither animal nor man. They rose and fell, threading through the campsite, making the skin bristle with invisible trails of cold. Elsewhere, Elle's pulse quickened. The whispers reminded her of ancient warnings tucked into tailies and furrows of history, the melodies of those ensnared by the woods, a sinister lullaby only the night could handle. Jay, too, felt an unease settling over the earth. It suffocated, as though gravity itself sought to bury them here under its heavy truths. As dawn's soft hues crept across the sky, they awoke to an eerily altered landscape where nothing seemed quite right. The once temporary footprints of yesterday had vanished with the night, a troubling notion, considering the absence of any rain or wind that could have erased them. Mara surveyed the surroundings, a visceral unease building in her core, Something was seeking to cleanse their presence from this place. She met Jay's gaze. Understanding passed silently between them. He reviewed the nightly recordings, searching for evidence left unwelcomed disturbance. Elle retraced their steps in daylight, her movements slow and deliberate, hoping to find some trace of history that might grant clarity. Instead, she uncovered bones protruding from the earth like the remnants of long-forgotten tales. Stories the forest had swallowed whole in its desire to remain unperturbed, sightless eyes watching their every move. The team gathered their resolve, deciding to press further into the heart of the forest to unravel its ancient mystery. Their chosen path grew more treacherous with every step, obscured by a jealous foliage, unwilling to relinquish its hold on its prey. An encounter with a cunningly concealed pitfall drove home the realization that the forest was not just alive, but actively resisting their presence. Mara's intuition flared at times, piqued by echoes of laughter that didn't quite belong, freezing her in a visceral play between curiosity and survival. Above, the thicket obscured the sky, robbing them of celestial guidance. Jay documented these claustrophobic corridors of trees from behind his camera lens, capturing the strangulation of light by twilight greens, a world alive, yet devoid of any expected human trace. In the ambiguity of a newfound clearing, they stumbled upon a dilapidated wooden cabin, roots curling around its base in an appearance of grotesque embrace. The air was laden with an overwhelming aroma of damp wood and detritus, the scent of forgotten years masquerading as sanctuary. Their approach was cautious, hearts pounding in sync with each languid step. The door creaked ominously, an entry into a tableau halted in time, filled with arcane symbols sprawled across every available surface. The pervasive gloom seemed impenetrable, yet firm in the belief of its existence. Elle snapped photograph after photograph, eager to dissect the haunting mural of a bygone culture immune to time. As fleeting fragments of light danced upon the surfaces, Jay shivered near the window, catching the forest peering inquisitively inward, taunting boundaries with its ancient, unreadable eyes. Hours within the haunt of runes led to discovery. A broken necklace, childhood fibered charm coated in decades of residue, rested almost sacrilegiously in an open drawer. It resonated a familiarity that struck like thunder into Elle's misgivings, left unsaid, yet thoroughly understood. Mara examined the talisman as though it were the missing key in a labyrinthine lock, its presence fundamental, yet haunting in implication. It whispered stories of youthful freedom melded to sudden, irrevocable despair, a connection between the world lost and the world found compelling. The atmosphere turned charged, a nervous anticipation bleeding through to each gesture, nervous and eager to discuss, to argue, to process. As they mused over the artifact's origin, days converged with nights, the absence of escape persists, and for the moment they found themselves tethered, constraint fed by an ancient voice that welcomed them into understanding. The story inexorably intertwined with them. The forest radiated it from the ground up. Tasked with its understanding, they set about meticulously documenting everything, every shadowed line, each darkened corner becoming another framework of narrative. Jay felt the comforting hum of his equipment in the absence of reason, a stalwart through spectral tides, as the camera clicked and whirred, outlining past imprints too vivid in their absence. Shadows played tricks. Seasons ebbed through textures, thoroughly enthralled by darkness, ushering in doubt. Observations blurred into an urgency that demanded an answer, a purpose and presence they couldn't fully comprehend. As they moved onward, Elle surfaced amidst nights of impossible narratives, aligning in bridges of introspection that every generation must cross, making sense of whispers that eternity would not drown.